Got my spray ready. I'm gonna just go on by. Hope you're alone. Hey, I'm coming through. Hey, I'm coming through. He's up there looking down on me. He may just be alone, sub-adult, is what I'm hoping. Holy moly, that scared me. I'm still scared. Let's get on out of here. Let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Hey-oh. Hello. It is mid-July 2023 and I'm in Yellowstone National Park for a 4-day backpacking adventure. My plan is to start out by following the Blacktail Creek into the Black Canyon of the Yellowstone River. I'll then explore north along Coyote Creek into the Absaroka-Beartooth Wilderness before cutting south along Buffalo Creek to finish up back inside the park at Slough Creek. I'm looking forward to exploring a lot of the major drainages in this northern area of the park, and it's time to hit the trail. Absolutely classic Yellowstone views to get things kicked off. A bunch of butterflies fluttering around at this crossing. It doesn't take getting far off the road to get into that Yellowstone which I love, the backcountry. Peaceful and quiet. Just me and a bunch of hungry, bloodthirsty grizzly bears. This is a big den right on the trail. There flows Blacktail Creek. The creek has begun to dig itself a nice little gully. Shoot, I reckon a pretty big gully. Big old bridge here across the Yellowstone River. I won't cross it until tomorrow, but I do want to go check out the view from it. Looking upstream of the Yellowstone. As mentioned, I'm not crossing the bridge today. Staying on this side of the river to head to my campsite 1Y8. Should be less than a mile away. Blacktail Creek feeding into the Yellowstone River. There's a small cabin right above the confluence. A little snake on the trail. The circle of life. Here's my bear storage. Now to find the rest of the campsite. Home sweet home. Made to campsite 1Y8. I believe it's called Oxbow Creek. Nice place to set up with some front porch views of the Yellowstone River.
The Yellowstone River is the principal tributary of the Missouri River, which is the principal tributary of the Mississippi River, forming the world's 4th longest river system.
Camp's all set up. Day 1 has been a great start to the trip. I had a short, easy, but still scenic hike in, which left plenty of time for one of my favorite activities, soaking in the warm Yellowstone sun on the banks of the cold Yellowstone River. I've got camp set up, dinner's in me, and I'm settling in for a relaxing evening. That'll be the end of day 1. Good night. Good morning! Made the day 2 of my backpacking trip in Yellowstone. Had a calm, restful night last night. The temperatures barely dropped into the upper 40s, warm and comfortable. My plan today is to start out by retracing my steps on this side of the Yellowstone River back to the big old bridge, which I will then cross, and I'll walk down that side of the Yellowstone River for several miles through the Black Canyon. I'll end my day at Coyote Creek, and this should be my longest mileage day of the trip at about 12. I'm going to finish up breakfast, get camp packed up, and there'll be time to hit the trail. Walking through campsite 1Y6, and I was too slow to get him on camera, but there was a small fox who was hanging around in camp. He ran off into that brush. Yesterday we got the upstream view from the bridge, so today here's the downstream view. Across the bridge to the north side of the Yellowstone River. Now I'll be heading east along the Yellowstone River Trail. Straight ahead across the Yellowstone is where I was set up last night. Looking like a crystal blue day today. It is supposed to be a hot one, upper 70s, maybe even into the low 80s. I'm guessing that this missing patch of trail is a result of last year's flooding. While perusing the map, I realized that I've hiked right into Montana. Most of the north side of the river through here is Montana, and the south side is Wyoming. A lot of the Yellowstone River Trail has been overgrown with grass and plants, but fortunately, and knock on wood, I've not encountered any ticks so far. I've been making a lot of noise, but just spooked a small brown bear off the side of the trail here. He's up on top of that rock. Hey buddy, are you alone? I'm gonna go on by, okay? I'm gonna go on by. You don't have mom here waiting for you, do you? Got my spray ready. I'm gonna just go on by. Hope you're alone. Hey, I'm coming through. Hey, I'm coming through. He's up there looking down on me. He may just be alone, sub-adult, is what I'm hoping. Holy moly, that scared me. I'm still scared. Let's get on out of here. Let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Hey, oh. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh. Coming through. Coming through. Oh my goodness. Holy moly. I'm gonna get away. I'm gonna get away. That was terrifying. I've come about a half mile since that encounter, and I was making pretty good noise, I felt like, but I didn't spook that bear until I was only 20, maybe 30 feet away. I'm guessing based on the size and behavior, maybe it was a young adult who had just got put out on his own. And by behavior, I mean the fact that it was bedded down right on a human trail. Most grown bears know better than to do that. Boy, oh boy. That was something else right there. Hopefully that's the only closed bear encounter that I have. Yeah. In the midst of the bear scare, the Yellowstone River Trail divorced itself from the Yellowstone River. I'm actually now on my way towards Hellroaring Creek, trying to avoid any more bear incidents. I'm making a lot more noise now than I was before, that's for sure. Hellroaring Creek. This is the ford. There is a bridge a couple miles upstream, but this looks pretty chill. I think I'll be able to make it across right here. That crossing was quite pleasant. Barely even got my knobbly knees wet. And the water felt good, not quite as freezing cold as some of the snowmelt streams I've crossed recently. Enjoyed a late lunch. Now I'm back on the move. I'm gonna try to break off trail for a short stretch here and cut due east to connect with the Coyote Creek Trail, which should save me like 3/4 of a mile. We'll see how it goes. That was about the easiest stretch of off-trail travel that I've ever done. Only about 10 minutes, and when I left the trail, right down there somewhere, I could see this trail marker right up here, so it didn't even require any navigation. Climbing up the Coyote Creek Trail. Here's the sign to my campsite, but there is no sign of a trail leading down to it. So it looks like I'm gonna have to walk through this thigh-high meadow. I did flick one tick off earlier along the Coyote Creek Trail, but considering the entire day was pretty brushy hiking, one tick's not too bad. Home sweet home. Made the 2C1, Coyote Creek. I am hot and tired, so as soon as I get my food hung and get camp set up, I'll be ready to rest and hydrate. First look at Coyote Creek.
Grizzly bears are a key member of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, which is home to the largest concentration of wildlife in the lower 48.
All set up. I couldn't find a single good tent pad at this site, so I pitched on the least lumpy piece of ground beside the fire pit. That means I'll be doing my food prep and consumption underneath the hang. Day 2 in Yellowstone was a good day of hiking with a big scare along the way. I think it could have been a young bear who had recently been put out on his own. Mom obviously didn't come blindside me, and he also wasn't acting like Mom was there. He wasn't bawling or vocalizing. Once he got over the initial fright of me yelling from only 20 feet away, he was up on the top of his little cliff just kind of looking down. He wasn't acting scared, he wasn't acting aggressive, he was just feeling the situation out. Obviously I got out of there quickly, and he probably did the same not long after. Now I've got dinner in me, camp set up, and I'm gonna settle in for what I hope to be a relaxing evening with no more bears. As long as nothing crazy happens, that'll be the end of day 2. Good night. This plane keeps circling over me. It's made 4 or 5 passes now. It's about his 8th pass now. It's really weird. I thought the park was pretty restricted airspace, so I have no idea what this joker's doing. He just keeps circling on me like a buzzard. Good morning. Made it day 3 of my backpack in Yellowstone. Restful night last night. The lows stayed in the high 40s, and this morning, as we just saw, I had that weird little plane come and circle me probably a total of 12 or 15 times. I don't know if it's associated with the park. I guess I assume it is. I don't know who else can fly around out here, but I don't know what they were doing looking around for so long. As soon as I saw them, I came and stood by my tent so I'd be easy to spot. I can never remember if it's one arm you raise when you're in danger and two you raise when you're good. So I just didn't raise either arm and just stood there and looked at it, and they just kept circling. I just kept looking. They were clearly circling like right on me. So I don't really know what was going on. I'm gonna finish up breakfast and then it'll be time to get going for the day. Although yesterday was a longer mileage day, today could be a more difficult physical day, as I'm gonna have to climb up to the top of Buffalo Plateau and then drop right back down the other side. So I'm gonna get camp packed up and it'll be time to hit the trail. Seems that it will be another very brushy day of hiking. Right now it's an overcast day, which could be nice if the clouds help keep a little bit of the heat off me as I climb up to Buffalo Plateau. Leaving the park behind, entering into the wilderness. My first visit to the Absaroka-Beartooth Wilderness. I've seen quite a few bear scats already since entering the wilderness. Finishing up my stretch of the Coyote Creek Trail, now hopping onto the Poacher Trail. I do not see much of a cutoff here, so hopefully it's not even more of a bush walk than the Coyote Creek Trail. Very fresh. Alright, I'm going to have to stop showing bear scats after this, or I'm not going to make any progress. They're everywhere. And the overcast sky has turned into some stormy vibes. I don't want that crossing the plateau. There are some deep claw marks and bear hair on this tree right beside the trail. Bears tear into these down logs to eat the insects that are inside. As I continue to climb in elevation, I've received two big boons. Firstly, I'm leaving most of the mosquitoes behind. They have been hounding me today. Secondly, I also seem to have climbed out of the worst of the tall leafy grass on the trail. A good look easterly at Buffalo Plateau. Looks like I'll drop down a little bit, rise right back up, and then drop down the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toes. That's a bear, alright. There's also some four-toed prints through here. Pretty large four-toed prints as well. The Poacher's Trail runs very, very faint in many places along its stretch. I lost the Poacher's Trail a while back. It wasn't super helpful anyway. This is pretty tough to follow. I'm just walking across the plateau, so it's not rocket science. Here's a boundary marker for the park and the wilderness. I'm going to continue pretty much dead east. The slightly bad news is that the terrain forced me on more of a southeasterly track, and it pushed me back inside the park. The good news is that I've come right out to the Buffalo Plateau cabin, which will connect me with the Buffalo Plateau Trail, and I can follow that to connect right back with the Poacher's Trail. Enjoyed lunch on the front porch of the Buffalo Plateau Patrol cabin. Now it's time to get back on the trail. A little deer right in the middle. Exiting the park and breaking into the wilderness. Round 2. Second chance. I never saw head nor tails of the Poacher's Trail, so I'm just cutting cross country the way I need to go. which means lots of downfall to navigate, and the rain has started. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. As I was hiking cross country, kept my head up, kept my eyes open, and then off in the distance, blam! I saw a cut log. There's one thing that I can promise you with 100% certainty, is that no one comes out into the middle of the wilderness and just randomly cuts downfall. If you see a cut log, you know you're getting to be in business. Seen that first cut log, then I seen the second one, and then I found the trail. I was not looking forward to miles and miles and miles of downfall hopping. So this is a sight for sore feet. I've got a good bead on my trail now. Cuts in, around, kind of up through there. Looks like I should be able to follow it. Leaving Buffalo Plateau behind. I'm not that sad to say goodbye. It was pretty tricky to navigate up there. Heading towards Buffalo Creek and camp for the night. Sweet. Made it down to Buffalo Creek. I'm honestly not sure, even an idea of where my campsite's supposed to be. And it is raining again. Hopefully I can find it soon. Home sweet home. I found a small spot by taking a right at the end of the Poacher Trail, heading south along Buffalo Creek just for a short ways. This has the two things I need, which is a spot to put my tent, and then right through that gap is a tree to hang my food.
The Poacher's Trail got its name because it was built by illegal trappers and hunters in the early 1900s. They used to follow it along the park's northern boundary, sneaking across the line to take elk. Ironically, the meat was sold to the U.S. Cavalry, who were there to protect wildlife from poachers.
All set up. Pretty much the moment that I finished pitching, the rain stopped. But at least it's stopped now, I guess, you know. There's like 30 horses out here making a ton of racket. I don't know if they have bells on or something. Day 3 has been a very adventurous day. The difference between the park and the wilderness was immediate and stark. I ended up getting off trail 2 times. The first one I don't think was so much my fault. The Poacher Trail had been faint for a while, and I thought I was doing pretty good to follow it for that long. However, the second time, in retrospect, if I had continued north once the Buffalo Plateau Trail petered out, I very well may have been able to find the Poacher Trail immediately instead of connecting with it farther east. Once the rain cleared out, this turned into a beautiful camping area along Buffalo Creek, but the clouds were a big blessing throughout the day to keep the sun off me. Camp set up, I've got dinner in me, and I'm going to settle in for a relaxing evening. That'll be the end of day 3. Good night. Good morning. Made it to day 4, final day of my trip. The night last night was the coldest, dropping down almost to 40, and those horse bells kept jingling all night, but I made it through, and it's a beautiful morning today. I'm going to finish up my trip by hiking down Buffalo Creek and ending with a ford of Slough Creek back inside Yellowstone National Park. I'm going to finish up breakfast, get camp packed up, and it'll be time to hit the trail. Directly across Buffalo Creek is Anderson Ridge. It's cool to see Anderson from this side because a couple years ago, Joey and I, on our Pebble Creek Bliss Pass Slough Creek trip, camped on the opposite side of Anderson and enjoyed that view.
Back inside the park, leaving the Absaroka-Beartooth Wilderness behind. This is an area that I definitely want to come out and explore more of in the future. Out to the west is Old Buffalo Plateau. Looking like a crystal blue day today. Certainly gonna be much hotter than yesterday. And there's a really weird gate on parkland blocking the trail. I guess I'll just go right around it. I'm back in the tall, itchy grass, although there are lots of beautiful flowers along with it. And the good news is that basically the last few steps of my trip will be a crossing of Slough Creek. And so that cool, fresh water should feel good on my scratched, bug-bitten legs. This lone big fella is the only bison that I've seen anywhere in the Buffalo Plateau and Buffalo Creek area. All those horses must have ran the rest of them off, I guess. Leaving the Buffalo Creek drainage, entering the Slough Creek drainage. Well, it's the first hiker I've seen on trail since day one. It's kind of a big hiker. It looks pretty smelly. I reckon I'm pretty smelly too though. He's just walking right down the trail. I'm gonna give him a wide berth. This guy will not leave the trail for anything. So I'm just hanging 100, 150 yards back, moving at the same slow pace that he's moving at. And it's a beautiful day to be a shepherd. Well, I hung out with my bison buddy for a good 30 minutes there until he finally decided to meander off the trail. Now dead ahead, I can see Slough Creek Campground and the end of my trek. The ford of Slough Creek and the end of this adventure. After I get across, of course. Despite being a relatively short trip, this one packed a lot of adventure into 4 days. The bear incident, oh man, I was so scared waiting for Mama to pop out and just end me. Fortunately, she did not. And then the navigation fun in the Absaroka-Beartooth Wilderness. As I mentioned, that's an area that I hope to get back out to and explore more thoroughly and more deeply in the future. For now, I'm gonna get across Slough Creek, and then I'm meeting up with my dad, my mom, and my brother. They are making their first trip out to Yellowstone National Park. We're gonna explore the front country for a couple days before I get back to backpacking. I'm almost to the other side. Until next time, thanks for tuning into Lane's World. Goodbye. There's Mom and Michael, and they took a little hike down to meet me. Isn't that sweet? Very nice to have loved ones waiting at the end of a hike. On this trip, I'm using the Yellowstone North map by Beartooth Publishing. Let's take a look at the map for this Yellowstone adventure. On day 1, I started at the Blacktail Creek Trailhead and followed the trail down to the Black Canyon of the Yellowstone River and along the river to campsite 1Y8. Day 1 was about 5 miles. On day 2, I continued from 1Y8, retraced back to the big bridge, and then followed the Yellowstone River Trail into Montana and to the other side of the map. Continuing along the Yellowstone River Trail back into Wyoming, I connected after a short off trail with the Coyote Creek Trail to campsite 2C1. Day 2 was about 12 miles. Day 3 continued from 2C1 along the Coyote Creek Trail out of Yellowstone National Park into the Absaroka-Beartooth Wilderness. Around here, I lost the Poacher Trail and ended up at the cabin, which I then followed
the Buffalo Plateau Trail back to then lose the Poacher Trail again, which I picked up probably somewhere in here and took down to the Buffalo Creek, where I set up camp. Day 3 was about 12 miles. On day 4, I continued from my campsite along Buffalo Creek, broke back into Yellowstone National Park along the Buffalo Fork Trail, and then finished off with a ford of Slough Creek. Day 4 was about 8 miles for a trip total of approximately 37 miles.